Joe Kelly of Happy Hour Live 757, and I have the joy of actually having someone in the studio today, someone I met a while ago that came up to one of our events that we was holding in Norfolk at Starving Artist Cafe. We were doing an open mic session, and this young lady came through, and I found out she was an author. That is really, really phenomenal to be in these days and times and find not only a lady or woman of color, but a queen out here writing books and the theories of the things she's thinking. I'm going to go ahead and open the door and just introduce you to her, and then we're going to do a slight interview and let you get to know her. But again, this is the one and only Joe Kelly. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a pleasure introducing you to the one and only Miss Cece Dawson. How you doing, Miss Dawson?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So tell some people some things about you, because I want people to get to know who you are. Like,
okay.
It seems to be a mystery in this world today, but let's find out who you're talking to.
I'm a New York native. I moved to Virginia about 5 years ago, and I absolutely love it. I enjoy axe throwing and glass blowing and archery. Of course, writing is my passion. I absolutely love it. So that's what I do in my pastimes, and I also enjoy reading and baking with my daughter.
Sounds great. It sounds like a hell of a life right there. I definitely would love to be involved in a life like that. That's a busy life, right? So just answer something. What inspired you to become an author? Like, where did that come from?
The funny thing is, I never inspired to be an author. I think I'm just a firm believer in if you follow your path and your passions and things that you love, it'll lead you in the right direction. I've always written. Even when I was a kid, I used to carry around a composition notebook and jot down little things that I saw in poetry and short stories. So writing came naturally, and it was, like I said, it's just a passion of mine, and it just turned into something more. And like I said, if you follow what you love, it'll lead you in the right direction. So that's kind of how I ended up being an author.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. I wish everyone would even look at life details as if where they want to go and how they want to go and use that factor in going forward in life. That's a blueprint to living these days, is following your passion.
Thank you.
So in saying that, what made you, okay, how long have you been a writer? Like, how long have you been doing this? Explain to me.
Oh wow, like I said, I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've been doing it for over 15 years. If we put a number on it, I've been doing it for over 15 years. Like I said, I've always been writing since I was a little girl, always jotting down stories and poetry. But it wasn't until I became an adult that I actually took it a little bit more seriously, when I realized there was like a lack of representation in sci-fi, and that just happened to be my favorite genre. Because growing up, like Harry Potter and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings were all like favorites of mine. But as you know, there's not really much diversity there. Mm-hmm. So as a kid, you don't notice anything like that. But as an adult, you'll be like, that's interesting. I don't see anybody that looks like me. So it's kind of hard to identify, which is why I took being a writer a little bit more seriously as I became older.
To add on to the fact that you were an adult, I don't think people really understand these days the separation between adult and adolescence when we're kids and we're young and we're going through things. Mm-hmm. Do you think that anything that you've learned from the past of your as a kid brought into writing or brought into the future, or bringing out the scripture of who you are in your writing today?
Absolutely. Of course, life experiences shape us to who we become. So with that being said, like I said, I've experienced Disney. I never had a Disney princess that looked like me, but I always felt a part of trying to use Pocahontas or Princess Jasmine. Anybody who had a tan, who was a little bit tinted, I kind of try to gravitate to. Mm-hmm. So that kind of shaped, I think, who I am today, and just trying to build a platform where someone like me, someone who looks like me, can be, a lead in a genre that really wasn't meant for African Americans, to be honest.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. It's like creating our own culture within the mystery of that world.
Exactly.
I love that. So, what is your next book project you think you'll be working on?
Well, honestly, I still want to continue working on the Chronicles of Brute Creations. I feel like there's still some things there that I have to kind of finish, but I'm actually working on a space opera.
It was kind of crazy because I spoke to you on the phone and you told me about the Chronicles of Brute Creations, right? Mm-hmm. So can you give us a little bit more in depth of what this book is about? I don't want you to go and tell the book, because ladies and gentlemen, look, you got to purchase this. This is to work hard to put this project together. You got to reach out and go to Cageburg Publishing. You can get the book. Follow everybody on Facebook. You can get the book. But I want TC to give y'all a little mystery about this book.
Okay, so it's about genetically modified humans in a military experiment gone wrong. So within this experiment, the government is experimenting with humans, and basically they're taking animal DNA, and they have 4 different animals. I can't tell you which animals, you have to read to find out, but it's integrated into our bloodstream, and based on certain things, you find out which animal you're integrated with. Once you successfully integrate, it's called being a phaser. That's what you call the genetically modified humans. And when you have a phase, you're able to tap into your enhanced abilities that you receive. So that's pretty much what it's about. And we follow the journey of a young lady, African-American female, who is a part of this community, but just doesn't really feel a part of this community. And we follow her journey throughout the book and how she adapts to life and being a part of a society that really doesn't accept her.
Man, this book sounds like something that I'm really get into. To be honest with you, if there's anybody tuning in that's doing any movie skits or looking for a script for a movie, I think this would be one dope movie. Like, if anybody know anything about morphing from other worlds, I was True Blood. I was into True Blood and all those other movies that played off into where people went into their own identities, their own morphosis, and just popped up. So I definitely think this is a story that can follow along and kill a chart. So if any out there in that world is like doing movie scripts, reach out to this young lady. I think this would be a good plot for a movie. Alright, so we're gonna move forward because I gotta do what I gotta do, you know what I mean? That's what we're here for. So outside of being an author, are there any other projects or gifts that that God has given you? Because I think gifts is all given from God. And
right.
We all have a gift. I think every human being that come in contact. So give me some of the other things you get your hands into.
Like I said, I really enjoy archery and glass blowing. I just recently got into axe throwing, but I like working with my hands. And I guess that kind of stems to writing as well. But anything I could be hands-on. My dad, we used to build decks and sheds when I was a kid. So everything for me is just super hands-on. I like building stuff and creating with my hands pretty much. So
that's real cool.
Baking, cooking, the axe throwing, glass blowing, anything with my hands, I really enjoy. And just trying new things. I just recently tried indoor skydiving. That was pretty awesome. So I just like trying new things. Try to live adventurously.
Yeah. Let's just look commercial ad right quick. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a slight break. We'll be right back to enjoy the commercial. But again, you're listening to the one and only infamous Joe Kelly alongside Miss Cece Dawson.
Yes.
Yeah, check this out. Be right back. Let this run by. Pretty nice, pretty dope. And what I do is when I do these interviews, I still stream my people sit around and hear us talk about wide open. Like, you let people completely in, you know what I mean? Like, I think when I look at like all the podcasts, and I like the people that are doing it and doing it real over the people that are doing it and like staging it.
Right.
Because you can tell it's staged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But your book is interesting. I'm telling you, I think you should send that somewhere. I think I've gotten into like stories like that for years, and some of it I believe and some of it I don't believe, but it's influential what you're saying.
It's very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very influential what you're saying.
But she can sign that one from you because that's yours.
All right, so we're going to go back on cue. We're going to go back on cue, yo. Again, this is the infamous Joe Kelly. I'm with the one and only Miss Cece Dawson, is the author. Just found out she throw knives and break glass and do a couple of other things in this world. So, and she bakes, but I think I would rather enjoy her baking than watching her tear down buildings or something, because I'm quite sure she can do that one as well. All right, Miss Dawson, so we're going to move on. What has been the most challenging thing to the aspect of your writing? Like, what has caused you, like, I know you get to the point you're like, what am I put there next?
So writer's block, I've hit writer's block quite a few times, and during the pandemic, sometimes it was a struggle because the mental health portion was there, because I was the only one venturing out, and it felt like I was the only one venturing out into the world at the time, because when the pandemic first hit, I was used to work in the hospital, so we were first line, so we had to go out when the lands were deserted. Mm-hmm. So it was very scary. So for me, it was the mental health journey. Writing this book was very interesting. So I think in that aspect, in that regard, I really just had to take a step back and just kind of hone in and just kind of think positively and put myself in a positive state of mind and kind of divulge myself into the book and into these characters to build this world, which kind of gave me the ground to do what I do and get past the writer's block and just be able to focus and just regain, you know, my foundation of where I was as an author.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. I can relate to that. As we out here, we all are creators, you know, giving us that gift of what they call creative. We get to those moments to where it's a stumbling block. And sometimes a restart.
Right.
But no, just know you got to keep on going.
Exactly.
You know, you gotta, but I appreciate that because a lot of people, just everyday people need to hear people like you tell that mystery of what do I have to do next. Like, because that's when you go out that door, you need to figure out what do I have to do next.
Exactly.
So I really appreciate it. Let's move on. I'm finding some really interesting things about you. I'm quite sure the world's been wanting to ask you these questions. Okay, so what are some must-haves when setting up the mood to write?
Music. I have to have a certain, so depending on how I'm feeling and what scene that I know I'm going to write or what I feel inspired to write, the music has to be right. So there's a couple of different soundtracks that added to this book as I was listening to it. And I need to be by myself. I need to be locked in a room, certain type of music, have my headphones in and just like zone out and listen to like a certain soundtrack and just write. So music is a big inspiration for me. Super big deal.
The art of music, huh?
Yes.
The art of music, that's how powerful it is. Do you have any favorite characters like that you've written about in this book? Tell me about them and why are they your favorite character? Like,
okay, so Cleo, who's my main character.
I like that name.
Thank you. Short for Cleopatra. So I was inspired, and her last name is Hurston, and it's just a head nod at one of my favorite authors, Zora Neale Hurston. So that's how I came up with the name Cleo Hurston. But yeah, no, she's definitely a favorite character. I see a lot of myself in her, which I think is why she's my favorite character, because she's all about occupying a lane and occupying space that wasn't meant for her. And I obviously can relate to that, and just, you know, just trying to get her bearings and trying to understand the world around her, which I think we all can relate to, just trying to figure out this thing called life. So that's why for me she's the most relatable and why she's my favorite character, because she just seems real. She's not like a storybook character and wants to get whisked off away with a prince. She's just a real person.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy her so much.
Do you ever find yourself meeting people, as running across people, and then they give you the inspiration? Like,
so, you know, life experiences and people I've met, obviously, you know, if they made a major impact in my life, then there's some foundation there where they might have influenced some characters, and then I add in my own, you know, ingredients to create this person. But yeah, there's some people that have kind of influenced some of the characters that I've written.
That's amazing. That's because me being a promoter, I can say back in my times, I've crossed good promoters and I've crossed bad promoters. And I will tell you about promotions, it's some of the both you have to use to dialect your way through the process of promoting.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely can say, it's knowing the writer's mindset. If you probably run across millions of people and you're like, wow, let me jot that down, you know what I mean? And the good thing is you keep it on your head, so it's written in script. You know?
You're a perfect person who I definitely can build a character from.
I
You're very
don't know.
interesting.
I don't know about that. It might be one hell of a character, I tell you that much.
Absolutely.
So, does writing does writing come easy to you? Does it take a minute? That's kind of like leads to the stumbling blocks in a sense, but you know what I mean? Like in the course of a day, you used to sit up and say, well, I'm gonna put some time into writing, because I know you have to put that time in.
Absolutely.
But you still gotta be mommy and you gotta cook.
Right.
So explain to me how on a day-to-day basis, how you get around to actually putting this on paper.
It honestly really depends on the day and how my day is going. Of course, you want to write every day, and I encourage everybody, if you have an idea, just write every day. I don't care if it's 1 or 2 sentences, because those will all come together later. So I found myself at the time during my lunch breaks writing. I could wake up, and if I went to the bathroom and I had an idea, I had a dream, I'll sit there, it'd be 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll just jot down the idea. Or, you know, if I'm just going for a walk or something, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I take my phone everywhere, and I use my notepad all the time. My my little composition notebook has kind of turned into my phone. So when I used to carry an actual physical book around, now I carry my phone, and I'll jot down notes or things that inspire me if I see something that, oh, that would be good in my book. So to be honest, I find moments all throughout the day to jot down something, and I don't care if it's just one sentence. I'll make it make sense later because there's a reason why it came to me.
That's cool. I think that's how we all got to touch this world. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go a little bit deeper. This is a little bit question because I always get this thrown to me. People ask me what celebrities inspired me to do what I do. Right? And I can tell you right now, that's no celebrity that inspired me to do what I do because they on a whole different platform. You know what I mean? I kind of like get inspired by the world that I'm in.
Right.
And you've been an author. I'm quite sure you pick up plenty of other books and read.
Yes.
So give me some of the authors. Give me some of the people.
Oh.
Give me somebody I can go read about. Go and sit down and read that book. You know what I mean?
Alrighty. So Jerome Dickey, God rest his soul, he passed away. He was one of my favorite authors, and he wrote a lot of passionate books. I'll say passionate books, and his detail to writing and creating a scene to almost make you feel like you were in a room was enough to make you blush. And he was just so detailed. He was surgical when it came down to creating a scene and discussing these stories and being able to drag you into the book. And it wasn't just about the actual sex in the book. It was about how he made you feel before the moment of something happening. And he, like I said, he was just completely surgical. So for the romance side, he definitely inspired me in that notion.
I hope the ladies will listen to this. Listen to this lady, girl.
I'm also a classic at heart. So Jane Austen, she, of course, Pride and Prejudice. When I read that, it's just such a classic romance. So I think that's also the reason why my book has different tropes of type of romances, because I'm also influenced by that. Excuse me. N.K. Jemisin, she has a psychology background. She's an African-American sci-fi author. Me and her are very similar, and We Own the City is just such an amazing sci-fi book. And to see a fellow African-American woman doing sci-fi, psychology background, it's just a head nod to know that there are some of us out there, and it's just very encouraging. I wish there was more, but she's also very encouraging. And last but not least, Ayanna Gray, she just came out with The Beast of Prey. It takes place in Africa. Everything's African related, and she's taking it super back to the roots, and I so respect that, and I so love that, and it's very nice to see. Straight sci-fi, magic, the whole thing. So it's really nice. So it's just a head nod to some of my favorite authors, and how I'm inspired in the books that I love to read.
Okay. So adding on to that, your best book that turned movie.
Oh, that's tough because I don't really like the books that turn into movies because they take out the best parts.
Some parts.
So I would have to say The Hunger Games.
Good one.
That was really
close to
good.
the imagination.
Right. That for me, reading the books and seeing the movie, even the casting was very well done. Peter was very well done. Katniss was very well done. So that would have to be my favorite.
What about the Book of Eli?
That's actually my dad's favorite.
That was
my dad's favorite. I personally enjoyed the book more than I enjoyed the movie.
Very close.
Yeah, but my dad absolutely loves it.
We're gonna just bring this down. But yeah, that was a very, very interesting book, the Book of Eli. I wish every African American had that in their home. Because it'll wake us up to some reality. So we're going to move on. We're going to just tap off the music till it comes back on. We're just going to keep it live like we are doing. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the one and only Joe Kelly. I'm sitting here with Miss Cece Dawson, and we're having a great time. Please tune in, share this. We're going to be around. You're going to see this young lady around town. I think she's going to be the next biggest thing as an author coming out of this area.
Thank you.
Yo, this is a local celebrity, everyone. So welcome, Miss Dawson. We're going to keep it moving, right? So what makes the main character unique? Like relatable to you or relatable to anybody that you came across to? Like what makes this person the most unique person in the book?
Her real world problems. I think we kind of miss the mark in a lot of books, especially books that have ethnic characters, that we don't actually put their struggles in the book. So she deals with racism, she deals with sexism, and I use sci-fi to drive that vehicle. Because there's a lot of books, sci-fi, of course you want to get away from the real world, but I like to, what makes my writing different is I like to weave a little bit of reality within the non-reality, if that makes sense, into the fantasy world, just to make it as real as possible. So this almost seems like this can really happen. This platform can really happen. Just like, oh my gosh, like that actually can really happen. Like, oh, I remember when COVID-19 happened, it was like zombies, everybody's gonna turn to zombies.
It's happening now.
So nobody thought that would ever happen, but everybody's like, oh, you're gonna turn into a zombie. I'm like, what an interesting thought process. And reading my book, you're like, that's not too far off. That's not too far-fetched.
No, it's not.
Actually happen. So I think for me, what makes my main character so relatable is the real world problems she faces and how she goes about tackling them. And it's just like, girl, I've been there. And if you haven't been there, you're like, wow, I can only imagine. And it almost makes you feel like you can relate to her. Even if you didn't experience, you could say she captured the essence of what is happening being an African American woman in everyday life. I didn't walk a mile in her shoes, but at least I was able to take a step. And planting that seed, that's what I want. I want people to at least take a step to try to understand what different people of different backgrounds go through.
Yeah, and you know what? It's crazy. You're exactly right. It's great to see your mind in our near future, because we're dealing with that as a near future right now. You know what I mean? Of course, this is something new, but it's been scripted the entire time, and nobody picked up the paper to read the book, and now the book is sitting in front of us. And you have the book, you know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy that I remember talking to you over the phone and you explained to me what this book was about, and I literally said, "What? Hold on, this shit is real." But it's real. And excuse the vulgarity, but that's just how I am. If you can't take it, then I guess you're immature enough not to understand that the world has it out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So where can you see yourself and your book within the next 5 years? I know you're gonna have a copy in my house, so I already know where it's gonna be 5 years from now. It's gonna be sitting in my mantle. So, but let me know where you're gonna take this project to.
I would love to see this project on a major streaming platform or even in a movie theater. I think it has the potential to reach the masses.
Touche.
So I would love to see that. I would, obviously love to see different characters casted and people just having a genuine love for the book. Sometimes they call them cult classics. I wouldn't even mind being a cult classic. I think it's that enjoyable because I enjoy it that much. So even a cult classic, my publisher and I just, taking over, just doing it that way.
I'm gonna read the book, right? I'm gonna read the book, and if the book is all for what you say it is and what you're telling me it is, I think we need a series. I think this book needs to go further. Like it should be. Like that's the one thing about it. You in the sci-fi movie. If you grab one sci-fi series, you can't stop. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. I cannot take anyone that writes a sci-fi book and just write one story and that's it. Like at the end of it, what happened to that person?
Right.
Where did they go?
Right.
What did they turn into? You know what I mean? So I'm hoping this theory takes you on an adventure for 20 years.
Oh, thank you.
It's nothing better than having something to do for 20 years. 5 years is just actually short term, but 20, 30 years from now, I'm hoping that I can go to this bookstore and find Cece Dawson's new, and just grab, if not my interest, my children's interest and their children's interest. I think you're a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you.
I'm honored to be in your presence.
Oh, thank you so much.
I don't know, there's a question part of this, but I don't think I really need to ask you questions. I think we got the full Cece. If there's anything you want to do in closing to let the world know your passion?
Absolutely. So, of course, anybody is available today. So anybody can go to Amazon.com, get their order today, get the new book today. They could go to my website, which is www.authorcecedawson.com, Instagram, authorcecedawson.com, Facebook, authorcecedawson.com, and TikTok, authorcecedawson.com, or they could go to Cageburg Publishing, which is my publisher, and you can find my book there as well.
Yo, that's what it is. That's what it is, yo. You can find it with me too, so reach out to Happy Hour Live 757 on the infamous Joe Kelly. I definitely can get you links with Ms. Dawson. Yo, I'm telling you, this is amazing. This is amazing. I hope to be doing more and more of these. See you more often.
Yes.
We need to pound it. I don't mind coming out. We can do this anywhere. We can make it mobile. But yo, this lady's gonna be in your face. I'm gonna make sure of that. All right.
Thank you so much for having
Blessing
me.
Queen. Thank you. Hey, again, thanks for the presents.
Thank you.